Have you told your friends that you see ghosts?
Oh, absolutely not.
Gina Rodriguez returns in Not Dead Yet.
I'm back, baby.
Who is that?
Oh, she's the obituary writer.
And Brad Garrett joins the brilliant ensemble cast.
Titan, Maverick, Titan of all Mavericks. These are all words used to describe me.
Not Dead Yet. Season premiere. Tonight, 8:30, 7:30 Central on ABC. And stream on Hulu.
It's the Happy Families Podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
The holidays are pretty much over right around the country. Only a couple of places where kids are still not back at school. And it feels like there is a lot going on. And I don't know about you, Kylie, but I wouldn't mind taking a breather and having another holiday already. Feel like we need to recalibrate.
I think everyone's in agreement that so much of COVID and the pandemic in general was awful. There was so much going on. But one of the things that we heard time and time again from families, and specifically parents, was the acknowledgement that they loved the slower pace of life. There was less to do, less demands placed on us, and as a result, we were actually able to really just enjoy time with our families.
It sounds almost like you're romanticising one of the worst things that have happened this century. But yes, I know what you mean.
And the acknowledgement from that was that once life got back to normal, inverted commas,
yeah, we're never going back to the way we were. We're never going to be that busy again.
Protective is the word I'm looking for.
Right.
Protective of our time so that we didn't end up in that rat race of fast-paced living again.
How's that balance feeling?
I don't think it's working for most people.
Today, a conversation about finding balance in 2024. There's a handful of things that we need to talk about if we want to get our lives balanced. Oh, and by the way, as a general rule, I've used this metaphor before, walking across the tightrope. A tightrope walker is never actually balanced. They're always balancing. That is, you're always leaning a bit too far this way or a bit too far that way. You're always in a process of balancing. So finding a balanced life is probably impossible. But working hard on balancing is kind of the way we get as close as we can.
Well, we've got 4 things we want to share with you today.
Thing number 1, I want to talk about goal setting. So I've always been a big fan of goal setting, but I'm rethinking it a little bit. I don't want to say that we should throw goal setting out. I don't think that's helpful. Goals help us to be focused and help us to achieve and help us to move in a direction that gives us purpose and meaning. There's a lot to like about goals, but there are 2 things that I struggle with when it comes to goals. The first one is that when you're making resolutions, what you're really doing is you're saying, here's all the stuff that I've failed at.
And it's interesting that you say this because for years, there's actually been a little bit of contention between you and I when it comes to goal setting sessions, because that's exactly how I feel. By the time we've finished it, I have this long list of all of the things that I'm actually not doing well or I'm not good at.
Yeah.
And it leaves me feeling like I don't even know where to start. I've got this big list, but as I look back on the sessions that you and I have done over the years, we've set a goal for our physical health. We've set a goal for our mental health. We've set a goal for our emotional well-being. We've set a goal for our spiritual lives. We've now set goals for how I can be a better mum and how I can be a better wife and how I can be a better member of the community.
I think I should throw in, just in case people think that I'm setting goals for you to be a better mum
No.
and a better wife.
I'm setting them for me.
And I'm setting them for me as
we're doing them alongside each other.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
But here's this big list, right?
Yeah.
That leaves me looking at it going, whoa, there is just so much for me to do to be the person I hope and want to be. And it's no wonder that there is so many memes and jokes out there about day 4 of the new year and we've already slipped off the bandwagon because we can't possibly focus on that many things at the same time.
I want to talk more about that in a sec, but let's just focus on basic psychological needs for a second. I talk about this all the time. We need to feel a sense of competence, a sense of relatedness, and a sense of autonomy. When you set goals based on what we've just been discussing, they're just a great big reminder of how incompetent you are. Oh, I wanted to get my diet and exercise under control again this year, and I just never seem to be able to get there. And so what we're doing is, in big, bold letters or lights, we're flashing out, I'm not competent at this thing. Now, sometimes that can be motivating, and sometimes we really can move the needle because of the goals, but more often than not, we see people failing at their goals because Well, they're just a reminder of all of our incompetencies. The second issue that I have with goals is that goals are all about maximization and optimization. And they're well-intentioned, and I don't have a problem with people wanting to be their best selves. I think this is really important. This is what growth and learning and development is all about. We want to be better than we are. However, it's exhausting. It is absolutely exhausting when we're focused on it this way. And in terms of finding balance, I'm not convinced that it's the best way for us to be balanced, which is why I wanted to do this podcast today.
As you're talking, I have a mental picture of me for years staying in my exercise gear with my joggers on.
Yes.
Because it meant in my mind, physically, I was ready to run. And the pure exhaustion that I felt at the end of those days, because I was running literally all day, I feel exhausted just thinking about it.
So the second thing that you said, or the thing that you said that I wanted to raise, was this idea of priorities. And I just want to quickly, I know this is a little bit of a geek warning, but here's the thing. The word priority is an old French word, and it used to basically mean having precedence in right or place or rank or time. In other words, coming first. Over the years, we've changed the word priority to mean basically the thing that matters the most, the thing that requires the immediate attention, the thing that is more important than all of the other things. That's the etymology of the word priority. And what we've done in 2020, whatever, is turn this into, we have a list of priorities, but you can't have everything coming first. You can't have a list of 15 things that all have to be our priority, because the priority has to come first. You can't have 15 people win the race. When There's the tightrope walk of balancing rather than being balanced again.
So if there was a couple of ideas that we could share to help bring more balance into our lives this year, what would they be?
Okay, I think number one, I'm going to emphasize this. We need to remember what recreation means. So recreation is made up of the prefix re, followed by the word creation. Recreating ourselves is what we do when we're supposed to have recreation. Where I'm going with this is, if we remember what recreation really means and we schedule it, like we actually create a system for daily recreation, we get to find balance. That is, we get to have the recovery that we need so that we can go again tomorrow. Case in point, as somebody who has been to far too many gyms and had far too many gym memberships over the years, something that I've learned is that if I'm going to go into the gym and do a workout, really work, a certain muscle group today, I need to give it a rest tomorrow so that it can be torn down and then rebuild stronger, so that the following day I can get back in there again and pump it once more. It's the break. It's the day off. It's the time away from the pushing and the pulling and the workout that actually makes me stronger. If we want to find balance, and I know that this sounds impossible and unfair for people who are time-poor parents who just want answers now, but scheduling, creating a system that facilitates recreation in our lives makes a huge difference.
I remember in the early days of parenting, even just the notion of getting a night away with you felt, well, yes, but it never felt like enough. I felt like I was so starved for that time away that I almost came away from it resenting it, because there just wasn't never enough time. Whereas as our lives have progressed and time has become a little bit more achievable for us, a night away is heaven now. And so what I'm about to say is going to feel a little bit counterintuitive, because for mums and dads out there who don't feel like they get enough time, simply going and sitting on the deck and having a cuppa by yourself for 5 minutes doesn't feel like a huge thing. But if you do this religiously, whatever it is, 5 minutes alone, and you might do it 7 times in a day, but just taking 5 minutes out of the busyness to just have a breath of fresh air and time alone makes such a difference in our day-to-day lives.
It's not the work level that beats us up. It's the inability for us to restore and recreate. Okay, so stress is unavoidable. And I'm going to say something that is a little bit provocative, but stress often feels really good. Like, I love being full on. I love being really busy. I always had that motto, bite off more than you can chew and make it up as you go along, because it feels productive and it feels really, really exciting. But are we restoring ourselves enough? I guess is the question that I'm asking here. We need to... I don't know if 7 5-minute breaks a day is really achievable. Although, you know what? It probably is. When you look at how many times you pick up your phone and spend 5 minutes on that game or on that news site or on that social media or on TikTok or Instagram or Snapchat or whatever it is.
We think that is a break, but it's actually not. It's not restoring us.
That's what I was going to say. That kind of downtime is not a true break. It's not truly restorative. That kind of a break works against us restoring and recovering and relaxing and resting. We're not actually present. And that's why what you've said about the cuppa or the walk or just sitting out on the grass and staring at the clouds for 5 minutes is so much more restorative.
One of the things that we've done this year is...
Well, we've planned for. We haven't done it yet. It's about to start.
We've made a conscious effort to carve out time. We've never actually done this before, but as part of my Christmas present, I asked specifically for designated, committed time together in the diary. So for Christmas, you gave me a whole handful, 14 of them to be exact, envelopes, and inside each of those envelopes was a card with designated dates and places where we would spend time together, either as a couple or as a family. They are in the diary. So everything else now falls around that. In previous years, we've looked at the diary after all of your work commitments have gone in and tried to squeeze it in and around work, and it hasn't been very good. So this year we're trying something different. And I can't tell you how exciting it is to look at my calendar and go, okay, I've just got to get through 2 weeks and then I'm going to spend time with Justin alone. Or in 4 weeks' time, our family's going to have just a micro holiday, 3 nights away down on the coast or whatever it is, just knowing that nothing else can infiltrate that time.
Now, I don't want this to sound overly privileged or anything either. We're not doing expensive stuff. This is a 1 night or a 2 night camping holiday. Or we're going to family and we're going to crash in the living room at my mum and dad's place or whatever it is. So we're not spending big money, but we've just carved out the time. The idea for it from me came from a study that I came across that highlighted that people who take one big break every year are a lot more stressed and a lot less balanced than people who take 3 or 4 or 5 mini breaks every year. So every month or every couple of months, they've got that little thing to look forward to. Once again, this is about recreation. This is about restoration. This is about recovery. We want to do it in little ways each day for 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there without staring at your phone. And we want to do it in slightly bigger ways by having truly connected time together, maybe on a weekly or a monthly or a bi-monthly basis.
I think the only other thing I really want to highlight in relation to this is especially for mums who feel the need to do and be everything to everyone, taking time out feels a little bit selfish. It feels a little bit greedy.
Yeah, it shouldn't.
It feels like there are so many other priorities that need to be taken care of.
There's that priorities thing again.
But having experienced both sides of the equation in my own life, I'm a better mum when I choose to prioritize time for myself. I come back a better person, more refreshed, more capable of giving my children all of the things that they need, as opposed to just keep going, just keep pushing through, just keep being.
So it's the balance of me time versus we time, but it's also making sure that, we're using the word balance again, but it's making sure that me time is actually restorative. It's not time spent staying up late and partying and goofing off. It's actually about genuinely restoring.
No matter how well structured we are, how well planned we have everything in our lives, the reality is life just sends us curveballs all the time.
Yes.
Whether it's a sick kid, it's teething, it's a loved one passes away. Like, there is just so many things that could go wrong at any given time. And that being the case, what are some things that we can do, like tangible things that we can do to help set us up to cope better in those times?
I'm so glad that you used that word. For balance, we don't just have to set up good systems and work on our balancing. We've got to be able to cope. We've got to be resilient. I think of resilience as an essential part of being balanced or being good at balancing. There are people who cope in less healthy ways. So there's anger and withdrawal. Maybe there's alcohol use or just screens. And then there are healthy ways to build our resilience. So that's time in relationships, it's time in nature, it's time being still, physical activity. Physical activity is so important. Like it just makes such a difference for your resilience and your well-being. But it's also doing things like, rather than being emotional about a problem, having a problem-solving focus. So maybe you sit down with the kids and say, guys, we need to do a 3E's conversation. We need to explore what's going on. I need to explain some things to you about what we need in our family, and I need to empower you so that we can come up with a solution together that is going to work, because things are not going well right now. It's that kind of a process where we find out how we can cope when things are going poorly and then get the systems in place so that things can go right more often.
So for the time poor parent who just wants answers now.
Yeah, here's the too long didn't read version. Yeah.
You're suggesting a few things that are going to help make a huge difference to finding balance this year. The idea that routines and structures reflect the priorities that we have in our lives.
Yes, definitely. In fact, I would go one step further than that. If you show me your habits, I'll show you your future.
I like that a lot. The second thing that we've shared today is the acknowledgement that recreation is the ability to recreate ourselves and give us the opportunity to restore, replenish, and rejuvenate so that we can show up better.
Yeah. And lastly, work on resilience skills so that you can cope when things don't quite work out the way you were really hoping that they would.
Well, I'm just going to put it out there. I'm really loving this new you. The notion that we're no longer going to have to bite off more than we can chew feels very, very good to me.
Actually, the reason that I'm saying all of this is because I've bitten off more than I can chew.
If we go back to the words that you and I chose this year, you've got presence. Mine is embrace. You can't embrace someone quickly. An embrace takes all of you. And it takes time.
I love that. So I've just got this picture of two rugby league players running at each other to embrace one another. It's
a body slam.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So for me, I guess our words actually are very similar for different reasons. I just want to slow things down and really embrace each moment as it comes. And you and your notion of being present allows you to do exactly the same thing.
The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Craig Bruce is our executive producer. We hope that this podcast has helped you to find balance in your life. If you'd like to find even more balance, please check out our brand new membership. It's called The Quest. The Quest is taking you step by step through a process that is designed to help you to be present, to find that balance, to embrace family life and make it work for you and your whole family. All the details are at happyfamilies.com.au.